Yeah, sobriety is the future. Sobriety, and that doesn't mean like, oh, you used to be a drug addict and now you just switched to a lesser influential drug. No, I'm not saying that at all. Nope. I know sobriety, the word sobriety is all relative to where you came from, what you dealt with, and all that. But what is sobriety? Sobriety is slowly releasing all the things that caused aggressive, extreme emotions that also could be construed as addictions. And then it's peeling back the layers of what it is that you're addicted to and why. And so sobriety means you're not using people, places, and things to feed off of as a drug for distraction, a drug to take away your pain and suffering, a drug to make you feel something other than what you feel because you're so miserable, suffering. Sobriety is being in a relationship where you're not abusing or so dependent and addicted to that company. And that is all relative to where you came from. And so, yeah, sobriety is not taking prescription drugs. Sobriety is not under the influence of alcohol, cannabis, herbs, extracts, operations, self-harm through Botox or doing beauty regimes or plastic surgery. Sobriety is not even having children. Sobriety is not being so addicted to sex that even if you don't want children, you're wanting to get off. Have someone relieve the tension that you have, using someone as a drug, using animals as drugs, using children as drugs, using your friends and family as drugs, using drugs as drugs. Sobriety 100% is a process that, yeah, could take longer than 7 years. And it's recognizing what you're addicted to. And it's not something that you would understand right away as far as everything that you're addicted to, because it is facing your whole lifestyle, your whole belief system is facing everything that people probably have a hard time facing. And I completely understand, because you're raised in a culture of addiction, culture of using people, places, and things as drugs. Shit, way back in the 1800s, Luciferian Satanism is all about using people as drugs, using fear as drugs, using pain and suffering as a drug. Self-harm to heal, that's drugs. That's the medical holistic system. Having children for social capital to leverage, it's like it's a drug. And when you don't have animals, you don't have children, you don't have family and friends that you're turning to all the time, when you're basically by yourself, even your husband is not always there because he has to work and do whatever, and you don't want him to be always there because you don't want to use him as a drug. You don't want him using you as a drug. When you finally are clean and sober and you're not smoking cigarettes and doing nothing to take away your pain and suffering, but you're living in the reality of this current situation, that is sobriety, and that could potentially give you potential immortality. I can't guarantee that, because you don't know how people do what they do. One day you could do something stupid and cause harm to yourself and not even know it, or be caught somewhere. But again, can you always anticipate every single thing? No, I mean, there's things that are so outside of my control that I could preach all this shit and then die tomorrow because a bomb just went off in my town through no fault of my own. So that's the thing. But there is a way. There's a way to get to 100% sobriety, but it's a process. But someone has to speak it first. And when you speak something into existence, it takes time for it to finally be physically embraced. And so, yeah, I've been watching a lot of stuff on Facebook and whatever. And I said the future for humans is to be clean and sober 100%. Okay? And so, and that takes a lot of frickin' time. That takes a lot of time. And some people will not get to that point. And I couldn't tell you I couldn't tell you that you could have one or two addictions and still live indefinitely. I don't know. It's still yet to be seen. But from my vantage from where I'm at, okay, where I've regulated my husband not to cause so much hormone manipulation to me, even though it's 4 times a month hormone manipulation, that's still giving time. And sometimes it's 3 times a month. Sometimes I don't, things go on during the weekend that's so aggressively. You're like, dude, no. And so it's helping him control his urges, and he's not going outside. And my urges are already controlled. I don't really have to do anything. But when you're living in the world where I'm not dependent on my husband's hormones to keep me happy and sad and whatever, and then I've released the demons of addiction to cigarettes that you've seen I've been struggling with the last 7 years, but not so much anymore. I've released that addiction. I don't need cannabis. I don't need alcohol. I don't need to have someone keep me company. I don't need to always be in the presence of somebody else. I focus on learning things and developing and articulating my point of view of the world, and developing a path and a space for something new for women and for men and for people out there. And so, yeah. So could I be drinking alcohol occasionally? Well, knowing what I've known the last few years of drinking alcohol and being in the presence of people who drink alcohol, and also being in a very accelerated climate, I'm not going to want to. I won't have a desire to. See, once you've dealt with the pain and suffering, and you saw then correlation equals causation to the heat and the exposure and then all your demons within, you're not going to want to develop new demons within to go and release and deal with. So I don't think that when you finally become 100% clean and sober, you'll ever want and be immortal, you ever want to go back to that world, even in a slower frequency. Because then it becomes so fun. That's why we have now so many predators, because they've lived on those addictions, because times were good. When the frequencies were relatively stable, people could go get drunk, they can get high, they can do all these things, and they would have fun, and they would recover and go to their job and whatever, and then everything is great. But in this environment, And so the system is conditioning people to face all the bad choices. It's like judgment decade, judgment time. I don't want to say judgment day, because day is like, it's not just one day. Everyone's going to see their judgment day, whatever that is. And then down the road, when the system purifies the system, and we've seen so many examples, like I've watched last night with my husband, because he was home for a minute, the decriminalization of the drugs in Canada. And this guy was putting microphones to all people who were addicted to meth and fentanyl. And they were like bent over and hunched over, or they were drug dealers that were on little scooters policing the area. But he was interviewing all these different drug addicts. And it was crazy. So we get to see examples of what happens when you're addicted to drugs and alcohol and crazy sex, and then medical stuff and surgeries. And then we're all condemning the royal family. We're condemning those out there that may have done things allegedly that could be proven or not proven, but yet have failed to look at what we've done to our children, what we've done to ourselves, what we've done to our friends and family. And just because the government allowed it doesn't mean it was right. If the government didn't allow people to get surgeries and to open up their body to some stranger in intimate places, the government didn't allow it, we wouldn't do it, because we know intrinsically it's not. When I went to the gynecologist like many years ago, already I felt that it was already a violation. I wanted to keep my legs closed. So even knowing in your gut that this is not right, but you're succumbing to it because it says you're supposed to for cancer and other shit. Yeah, you go against your human instincts of being violated. So the government allows it. People allow their kids to get violated, allow themselves to get violated. If the government doesn't allow it, then they're like, oh, it's bad. That's how you've been fucked. That's how you've been snowed. And so the Freemasons regulate the ignorance in our society. In the age of information, ignorance is a choice. If you choose to be ignorant, more power to the Freemasons to regulate you. I am done with the anti-Freemason rhetoric. That's why I deleted that comment from that guy Robert about the Greystone. I looked it up. Yeah, okay, Greystone is a Freemason temple that was used as for public events for people to, or private venues. It's a banquet hall. It was architecture, beautiful. But he posted that, oh, Ohio State, the Greystone State, whatever the fuck that, who cares? Freemasons are everywhere. You be anti-Freemason, you're the one that practices taking people's pain and suffering away with the herbs and extracts. I'm done with the anti-Freemason rhetoric. The Freemasons gave you an amazing society, and you're the ones that choose to destroy yourself and blame them. And you're also promoting herbs and extracts to your fellow man, taking away their pain and suffering. That's the Freemason behavior, if I've ever seen it. When you're playing the part of what they've given you to take away your pain and suffering, and you're saying it's their fault when you're the one that keeps compounding the issue. And so if you don't agree with their regulation, then stop trying to take away pain and suffering from your fellow man, because that's not for you to do. Keeping people ignorant, which is basically all the herbs and extracts, and educated, which is giving people information through the internet, whatever, and giving you an argument and a story to follow, is Freemason behavior. And if you're keeping people ignorant when you're also taking part, so shut up with the anti-Freemason bullshit. Okay, so those in the holistic and the medical holistic system, you're keeping people ignorant of the life and the release. You're keeping them in the dark. That's satanic behavior. That's literally satanic behavior. Luciferian is when you're like giving all these new awarenesses. And so, yeah, Luciferian. And so taking my people's pain and suffering, taking people's pain and suffering through your recommendations is trying to keep people ignorant. Taken away. God dang it. I hate when I do that. Okay? And if you promote ignorance, then you can't blame the system for trying to destroy you, because you have just destroyed yourself and everyone around you. I don't promote the light or the darkness. You guys will decide how you want to destroy yourself or keep yourself alive. Okay, so the future of humans is to be clean and sober 100%. Otherwise, you're projecting what you've done to yourself and everyone else around you, and you're telling on yourself. All right, okay, I'm going to erase it. You know, I'm not going to read any more of this. I'm going to post it because this is a lot to read. I got it out. I don't need to say it. I will correct some of the mistakes, and I will post it in this video. But at this point, it's too late, guys. It's so fucking late. I mean, it's interesting to watch, because when I was watching the Netflix videos, and I see some of the crime shows that involve two people that were in some kind of extramarital adulterous affair, and then somehow something happened and someone was taken advantage of or used as a tool. And there's a lot of holes in the story, and you just didn't really know exactly how that even ended up to be, and then the authorities that were involved. It's like you don't even know what is real and what has been contrived and preempted. And so when you're watching the reality shows and you see like someone like Andy Cohen, who manipulates the reality stars and says things and does things and shows them what people said and whatever, and then they also contrive it to make it even more sensational. That's like the Hollywood version. And then there's the grim side. There's the grim side of the crime version. And the hacking, like that whole Ashley Madison. That was the government. Fucking A, it was the government. That was the government regulating Ashley Madison. People thought they had, that everything they were doing was private, that no one would know. Everybody has skeletons. So there's that side of it. And there's people, little lambs out there that claim to be all innocent and wide-eyed, and maybe they are. Their mothers are like, oh, I'll keep my kids so innocent, right? And then they get exposed, or they get victimized. And so, and they turn into a stepper wife, and they turn predatory, and all this other shit. So, the system will use them, and the system can inject anyone into a situation that looks like they could be innocent, and you can corrupt them, right? And show them to be an example. And you'll never know, and then it turns into a Netflix story. How many times could that happen? Where the system finds people who are completely unaware, oblivious, stupefied, all about God and love and this and that, and they're around all the little friends or family, and they're like a Disney fucking princess, like that chick on Ashley Madison and documentary. And then she thought her husband was so God-fearing and all that, and then you inject someone to go and tempt and develop a whole script, get somebody talking, just like these people who set up these pedos and expose them on the internet or expose them through movies. I think it's kind of funny. It's really, so you don't know, that's the thing. If you choose to be ignorant, someone's gonna come in and wake your ass up, and you don't know who they are. And if you choose to be that so aware and blame someone, they're gonna find a way to expose all of your skeletons. Okay? Expose all your skeletons. And so all the innocent wide-eyed girls will be like, what do you call it? The Stepford wives will be like walking targets. Yeah, maybe they won't be on Netflix, but they'll be getting their surgeries. They'll be hanging out and having 1 billion children and get involved with someone who may or may not do whatever, but they won't be able to survive climate change. Then you get all the ones, the little predator women that are all about anti-government, exposing King Charles, right? But they're giving their kids to the medical system, they're taking the herbs and extracts, they're causing more darkness and ignorance in their kids, their friends and family. It's done. It's just, I got what I had to get out, and I wrote it out, and I'll correct some of the grammar. But what's there left to say? Just watch it, and just fucking laugh. Literally, you have to laugh. There was a comment or a meme that says, if you're not crying or angry, then you're laughing. What is it? The people who are full of wisdom, they find everything comedy-like, and those who are like suffering or crying, I don't forget what it is. But now you just gotta laugh, because it's so fucking funny. It really is. And I'm serious. I look at all the wide-eyed, innocent girls on the internet that proclaim they're all innocent. And they act like little Disney fucking princesses. Well, eventually, the system will turn you... The system has, because they're single mothers. The system will turn them into a Miley Cyrus or a Britney Spears. And they'll do themselves in, because they have no other choice but to do themselves in. They don't have what it takes to survive. They can't fucking change. And they claim to be a Disney fucking princess. I think it's funny. So I just sit back and just watch it all. But I could read all that shit and it's whatever. I just think it's funny. And so when I keep watching these Netflix series and I keep watching what people get exposed to and the system exposing their emails. I'm telling you, everything that you've ever done. Oh, I have skeletons in my closet. I'm sure I do. All of us do. What we've searched, who we've emailed, what we've done in the past. There is nothing. There's no perfect human out there. And if there is, the system will find a way to corrupt you. If you end up to be influential in some way. Just like those that are trying to expose, the New World Order. But they're saying, oh, you should die someday. Your body's just a vessel. So they're not going to touch some people who are like, your body's a vessel, your soul goes off. They want them to keep promoting that. So they're not going to expose them. But if you're causing like what happened with Ashley Madison, oh yeah, the system will slam down. The system slammed me down. So I see things for what they are. But if you want to go against the system and be whatever, and go and be very influential to the point of where you cause so much destruction, like with what Trump was doing, maybe potentially Biden, the system will look for all the skeletons. And that's what Trump is going through. They found all the skeletons in his closet. Will they throw the book at him? Potentially. Well, Steve Bannon's in jail. And so the system found a way to leverage all of you in body, mind, and spirit. Because if you go against what the system is trying to do is regulate society to keep humans and advance them. So if you go against that, now that we've all been on the internet and Googled our stuff and had conversations with people and done things, the system will bring it out. Or they'll get you all tempted to go do something, do something else against your body, mind, and spirit. To take away your pain and suffering. They'll change the climate. You'll keep treating yourself and you'll die. Oh, they found every way. I fucking respect the system. I really do. I respect them so much. So at this point, I can go through and read all this shit and be all whatever. That's a lot of energy. But I already said what I needed to say. I'll go and correct some of the typos. But I find it fucking fascinating. I really do. I love it. I think it's probably the best script for our current society today. And when people do self-harm and they cause self-harm to themselves, when you cause self-harm to yourself and then you blame somebody else, it's kind of funny watching it. And when people are taking herbs and extracts and operations and all the things, and they're taking their supplements and all the different drugs, and they're blaming the system, that the system, used the V's to destroy, but they're taking things to actively shut down and disable their immune system, and they're blaming someone else out there. That's fucking rich script writing of comedy. That's a comedy of errors like I've ever seen it. That's why I am so unpopular and so obscure. Because most people are actually everyone is Luciferian or satanic until you walk away from everything. You're either dying in the light or you're dying in the darkness. But you ain't surviving. They're going to fucking watch and make sure you're not going to go and destroy somebody else through your predatory, projective behaviors. So that's why I stay out of it all. I just observe. But right now, I don't feel like reading everything I just wrote. But I'm going to go correct some of the typos. But yeah, let's watch society do themselves in. This is the ultimate script. Just watch it. Bye.